Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Mixing Glass. It's me, your host, John, and I am not alone today. I'm very excited about this guest. He is an incredible hospitality professional, and he loves D&D just as much as we do. What an amazing crossover. But before I bring him onto the show, I got to tell you a little bit about our friend, Devin Chapnick. The idea of Convenient Cocktail Company was formed in the fall of 2022. Devin moved there in 2021 with his then soon-to-be wife after years of working in the Denver bar scene. Devin had plans of opening his own bar and settling down. Devin and his future business partner Josh, while working at a local cocktail bar called No Hard Feelings, discovered that they were also neighbors. While drinking one night at one of their home bars, Josh mentioned that he wanted to try and get a dehydrated garnish company started and pitched it to Devin to partner with him. At first, Devin was skeptical, but for the next 3 days, it was the only thing he could think about. Devin came up with the name, a rough design for the logo, and 3 weeks after that, they were in business. Devin's wife, Caitlin, was several months pregnant at the time, and from the first time they spoke about having a family, Devin always said that he'd want to be part of the stay-at-home dads club. Over a year and a half later, Dad doesn't stay at home anymore, but Finn does come to the shop 4 to 5 days a week, and they cherish the special way that they have shaped their lives together. Devin feels truly lucky to be able to connect with people in the specific context of this profession, despite the myriad hardships that all hospitality professionals must face on a day-to-day basis. Devin, welcome to the show.
Happy birthday to Travis.
That is true. So, if you have listened to the show before, you might have heard us sneak in Travis Gale's name into the episode, and that's because Travis was actually one of the first people I ever played D&D with.
That's
Just kind of
wild.
incredible. He was the original
wild.
bartender. He was there the night that we were drinking a bottle of Midwinter's Night Dram, drank the whole thing whenever we came up with all of these amazing D&D bartending puns, put it all together. I was writing on napkins, like whatever I had just laying around.
Literally blowing my mind. I did not understand that was the context.
That is the context. And Travis was very mad at me because I drank most of that bottle. And he was like, I just brought it so we could have one. And I was like,
Okay,
well,
come on, Travi. You don't bring nice stuff. You don't expect it to get drank. Like what? Oh,
yeah. So,
boy.
Sweet Travie boy, who is still in Denver, Colorado, even though I am not, at least at this point, and I know Devin's not either.
That's right. Hey, thank you, John, for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about these wonderful confluences that we share, and Travis just being, one of those. So happy birthday, Travis.
Yeah. We also found out before we recorded today that our birthdays are literally 1 day apart, same year.
Day apart, like the same year, which is wild.
And our kids are within 5 days of each other.
Within 5 days of each other, we're born. A year apart, but still pretty wild.
Crazy small world, which is kind of insane.
Just like how Josh, my business partner, and I wound up, moving to the same town with a similar track mind, and live on the same block, or not the same block, but literally quarter a mile away. We're
a little stumble.
We're in the same. There. Yes, I have done it before, and I'll do it again. Damn it.
Amazing.
Yeah, man, really excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on. Now, before we get, too off the rails, we do a little thing called Roll for Initiative. And I know you're a fan of D&D, so I know you've got a D20 there. What's that die? Put that up to the camera.
It is a bloody eye of Sauron, just trying to be as menacing as possible. I started playing D&D as a DM because the only way I could do it. And
usually how it goes.
Yeah. And though D&D isn't in my day-to-day life right now, hopefully that changes. I like, we'll see. I'm trying to get my employees to play D&D with me, which is
that can't go wrong. Never,
can't go wrong.
Never, ever.
Anyway, I have a menacing DM's D20 here just to really, make some people's days or ruin them. Really, that's what I'm trying to do. All right, here we go. That is 13.
13. All right, here we go. Number 13. If life were a video game, what is one cheat code that you wish you could use?
Man, it's hard to not say invincibility because of my existential, fear of death. But
Sure.
I think that I probably, man, what cheat code did I use the most? Back in the Game Shark years when
You're dating yourself with Game Shark.
yeah, man.
I had it too. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. We were born one day apart and we're nerds. Are you kidding me?
True.
We had Nintendo Power Magazine.
Oh, the best. You only
Yeah.
got like 1 or 2 codes in there, and they weren't the good ones.
They weren't. But I remember turning Torok on the N64 into a like Rainbow Disco using some cheat codes. So I think having the ability to change color schemes at will and starting a disco party anywhere I want is
Ooh.
probably what I'd go for.
That's pretty good.
And only because I know tried and true, it worked in Torok and I partied with dinosaurs.
I think that's a win-win. I'm going to date myself even further. Before we had Game Shark, I used to print out the cheat codes from whatever of the internet existed. It was like the dash lines for all the web pages. You know what I'm talking about? Like, because you didn't have graphics at the time. And I would print those out and put them into a binder, and I would flip through the binder to find the cheat codes.
Yeah. I didn't get internet until I was the ripe age of I think 12 or 13.
Yeah, that's probably the difference. I think it was like 8 or 9, so like that's probably it.
Yeah, at 8 or 9, I was stealing, or wasn't stealing, they were free. I was taking AOL discs from Walmart and putting them into our family computer, somehow thinking that I would get internet by putting the CD.
No, good try though.
I did. I tried. I was also like, I being an 8-year-old being like, all right, well, this says internet, so I just got to take it home and try to figure it out. I'm very, my computer proficiency skills are, very high.
They've only gone up since then.
Absolutely. Started.
I think if I had a cheat code, I think I'd need something that would like be super practical to me in my life that would like help me.
Disco dinosaurs. Yeah.
I mean, there's never a bad time for disco dinosaurs or like the confetti from Halo or the party hats. Or like the Donkey Kong heads from GoldenEye.
Oh man, it's just like you're painting pictures in my brain with your words, of course. Yeah.
The tapestry. But I think I would always like want to be hydrated, or like or maybe like we'll tap into the D&D here. Instead of doing a full rest, I'd like to do like the druid like half rest or the elf half rest. I only need like 4 hours instead of 8 to be fully rested. Like, give me that time.
Yeah, that does sound pretty nice. With a 4-month-old, I mean, man, I could take a nap right now.
I definitely could just close my eyes and that's all she wrote. So
yeah. It's so funny when you're like, oh, let's record at 8:30. I'm like, yeah. I'm usually in bed by 9:30 now because this is what life is. But
that is life.
I had a little cocktail and I'm feeling like this is the right energy that we need because when it's morning time I have responsibilities, and right now, at least for 3 more hours, I am all yours, John.
3 hours. Maybe we are playing D&D after this mixing class.
I'm just allotted the time, I got to get in where I can. So
I feel that. All right. So before we get into the meat of today's episode and talking about Convenient Cocktail Co., I want to hear a little bit about your origin story. How did you first get into the hospitality industry? What was your first job? What made you be attracted to this industry?
Yeah. I don't know if I sent this to you, but when I was 6 years, I like very much. I'm also like a very visual person. I think D&D, very much clicks with me because I see very clear pictures in my head. And I remember this experience I had when I was 6 years old. I was living in rural Georgia, a town called Alamo, which is like in between Savannah and Macon on like Highway 16. It is the middle of nowhere. I
Sure.
was born in Fort Lauderdale area, and when I was 4, we moved up there. But I would come down to have summers with my dad in Fort Lauderdale, and my dad and uncle would take us to the Maikai for like birthdays and big events. And like at the time, like it wasn't this like culturally significant iconic thing. It just was the cool place that we went to. But like I distinctly remember being 6 years old, and like the fanciest place I'd ever been to is arguably a Red Lobster or a Dairy Queen. Like, it might have made it to a I don't even know if they had Red
That's true.
Lobsters, but like
Like,
it's
there was
that
that
is
time
like
period, right? Like going to the Pizza
sure
Hut, pizza buffet was
the
kind of
yeah
pretty
kind of
normal for
I
growing up in
mean
the 90s, you know?
but totally. And like the where I lived too, there was like there we had one street light in the whole town. Is 800 people. It's like really rural. So like getting outside of that and going to a place like the Maikai, which is like Polynesian show, and like you walk in and it feels like you're on a galley, like and at the time I didn't know that it had been there since like 1956, and this is like literally a living breathing institution of like
The first wave
whatever.
of tropical bars in the US.
Yes, in the
Yeah,
US, yeah,
absolutely.
and, like, groundbreaking in its way, and, like but that didn't matter. Like, they had, storytellers and musicians and, fire spitters and belly dancers, and I was like I thought this was illegal. Like, I was like it seemed so wild and over the top, and, like but everyone else is just like, "Oh, yeah, no, this is cool as hell." Like, we'll get the giant drink with the bubbling shit and like, the Peking duck, and, like, it was just so it made me feel like I was in a movie, and I was 6, right? And, like, that to me, like, solidly feel was the beginning of, like, my love of hospitality and, like, the love of having a platform in delighting people and, like, bringing joy and participating in joy in a way that is transactional, but, like, that by its definition is what makes it so special. Because, having these delightful or over the top experiences with like people that are doing it for you, who are your family, your friends, like you don't there's so much impacted in that, but the separation is what makes hospitality so special. But anyway, so 6 years old, going to Maikai, getting like floored, like holy crap, like this is incredible.
So is
And
that when you knew, like, what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I
Or
don't
is
know if
that
it was
or is that looking back on it now,
That's
kind
definitely
of
looking
like,
back on it, like, and
cool.
and, like, particularly, like, when I look at my fascination with tropical drinks and, like, my fascination with experience-driven hospitality, um, that, like, to me is like, "Oh, I remember that," and we would go occasionally throughout my childhood. But my first job now this is now this is wild. It was, my first job was in Davie, Florida, after I moved back down to Florida when I was 11 or 12, and
It's a
I
good
worked at
age to get a job.
I was 14. I was
Yeah,
14, yes,
okay.
and it was like right down the street from where we lived. Lived in a condo in Davie, West Broward, and it was a Charles Lindbergh themed burger restaurant called Lindbergers.
It's amazing. That
Yes.
is absolutely amazing. So they have like a burger like the Lucky Lindy and
It
like
was John, it was 50 different type of burgers.
that's incredible. A flight
Yes.
of burgers.
It was I see what you did there.
That's
No, it
so
was seriously, it
good.
was like mushroom burger, mushroom and bacon but they had, like, dumb names. I don't know, like, the mushroom, cha-cha with, sour cream and like, it was seriously that level of, like, "Oh, we're just gonna add one ingredient to it, and it's a completely different burger
Yeah.
on this burger list."
Now it's hey, here's a list of our ingredients. Pick which ones you want on a modern
Yeah.
menu.
Oh
But
my
back
God.
then, that's revolutionary, right? There's all
Yeah,
these
I know.
different.
Martha, they have 50 burgers. We got to come here every day for 1.5 months. Yeah. I think there is one that's still around, but the one that was closest to me didn't. But that was like I worked there for a few months and like who knows what it I remember bits and pieces of it. There was incredible like Haitian married couple that were the cook and the dishwasher, and I would whenever I'd go in, they would like dote over me and like give me food and just be so incredibly kind. And I absolutely love that. But the next job I had was a bus boy for a family Italian restaurant, and that's like hanging out with like Uncle Umberto, who would like walk around, yelling at me about the blue water. Like, oh,
Sure.
hey, hit the whip with the blue water there. Hey, Devin, get over here with the blue water. And, I like really fell in love with that.
You're
That
painting a
experience.
different tapestry for me now.
Yeah.
Different from the one I painted for you. Feeling some drama.
Oh man, it was great. But like, so how I got into the beverage industry, I was in college at UCF, studying psychology, and my brother had introduced me to craft beer and home brewing, and I started doing it at home, had a lot of fun, like read The Joy of Home Brewing, like
Yeah,
loved
fantastic book. Like,
it is, and like such a wonderful thing about that book too is like it connects the emotional stakes of what you're doing.
yeah,
And like so much of that speaks to me as like a nerd, and like, cocktail nerds, all D&D nerds, food nerds, like all these things are just vehicles into connecting with the emotional stakes of the people that you're with, which is like, yeah, that's another thing. But like it is
beautiful.
it the joy of home brewing like really turned me on to like how do I chase like creative stuff through this medium. And I got a job at Orlando Brewing Company like right when I turned 21. And cellarman, I did some front of house stuff, and then I started bartending at this beer bar and art gallery downtown. I left the brewery, and I was like really loving it, right on Lake Eola. And then it got the lease was not renewed, and a 7-Eleven was put there. So as soon as I heard that the space was up, I was like, all right, I'm moving to Denver. I'm going to become a brewer, open up my own brewery.
7-Eleven's not for me. I'm out.
Yeah. Like Florida sucks. Like, this is the epitome like of commercialism.
Okay, so had you been
Yeah.
to Colorado before?
No.
Perfect. That's what I did when I moved. I totally when I lived there. I totally get it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it was like I heard about this place. I visited. I already planned on moving. I visited in April and I moved in August.
Yeah, perfect. Well,
So
they don't have any beer in Colorado at all.
no,
So you
no,
were going to the right place to open
yeah,
a
I was gonna
brewery.
really show them what I got.
Yep, heard that. Okay.
Yeah, no, no, my time in Denver, obviously, like, college was this cool experience, and then moving to Denver, and really being independent, like, working at some beer bars, and eventually, like, I got a job opening up Station 26, which was like a very formative part of like my I guess my management and like operations perspective, because I'd worked in production some, and I was more front of house up until that point, anyway, but like leaning into like big picture operations and business operations too was like very educational for me. um
And especially when
and
you can be hands-on. Like that makes a world of difference.
yeah, God, I'm, one of the reasons why I own a business is because I'm not really great at working for other people. And I'm sure if you ask some of my previous employers, they'd probably say things because they're like, hey, Devin, we want you
Great
to,
guy, tough
yeah,
employee.
yes. Hey, Devin, we want you to do this. And I'm like, no, but why this? Like, but why this way?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been thinking about it. And
I haven't slept in 3 days. I have been thinking about this.
And man, there's got to be just a little room for improvement. Yeah, I'm a tough uh, a tough employee. Jesus. Anyway, so it was that during that time that I started a tonic business with a friend of mine, and that was a like 1800 style tonic. It was a recipe he worked on, but I had experience with production. Long story short, that lasted for about 2 years. We had a nice run. It was called Tonics. It was a
It's a
really
good
cool
name.
product. Yeah, it was like this is uh 2013, no, 2014 when we started it. We did it for about 2 years. That's how I discovered cocktails. Like when I was literally we were producing it in the back of grandma's house, the brewery, because they had like some space in the back, and we like rented out space. It was an interesting time. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Um
You said 2013. I mean, that's right when like products on the grocery store shelves were starting to really elevate for the first time, leaning towards like the beverage industry. I mean, Fever Tree didn't even have a bunch of flavors in 2013, right?
no,
Like
I know.
it was
Jack Ruby
mostly
was
like
just hitting it.
it was mostly those club sodas and Schweppes and like, I don't even
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
I
there
mean,
wasn't
like,
much else.
I think I remember having Q at the time, but even then it wasn't in bars, and even like good bars, good bars still had Canada Dry and Schweppes and stuff,
Yeah.
and Fever Tree was like just starting to kind of get its grasp on it, and we definitely wanted to have like a different take on it. Definitely like more of that like rustic Cinchona forward, you know, flavor stuff. And like I love making things with my hands. And this is like my first time like doing a product or whatever. And really getting to connect with the people that I was selling it to, and like collaborating on cocktails for cocktail menus, and like really seeing like into the process. And when we closed the business, my partner moved away, and it was just we tried to open up a commissary kitchen, and that was just kind of a huge mess and failed miserably. But I learned a lot.
Yep.
And as
With
far as
all failures you do, right? It's failing forward, not failing
exactly.
backwards.
And I certainly learned a lot about myself and about like the things that I value, as far as like, um what are the core values for the business, and how that is the guiding principle for any interaction that you have, any commitment that you make, whether it is to your coworkers or to your clients, which really kind of are your coworkers too, in a lot of ways, because if you don't have them, then you don't have anything. So but that's how I found like learning about cocktail bartending. And that's I bar back for about 3 months at Mr. Tuna, and then they threw me in as a bartender. I don't know if you knew George Nunez. Uh,
Absolutely. I worked with
yeah,
George at Death and Co back in the
definitely,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like
Shout
the
out to George.
guy.
What a DJ
Yeah.
too. Love
Oh
that
my
guy.
god.
Incredible DJ.
It's
Mm.
incredible person. He like absolutely was there every time, telling me, helping me out. Like Mr. Tuna is a really cool experience. It was like fine dining, elevated food, really cool small cocktail program. But like, George is definitely, if I can attribute anyone to like pushing me in the right direction, it was definitely George. And he always would be like, "Hey man, like, Dr. Dev, you're doing great. Go a little faster." "Hey man, absolutely killing it. Move those hands."
Chop chop. You got two of them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got two hands. If you use both hands, you're gonna go twice as fast.
It's a crazy concept.
Yeah, no, shout out George. Thank you so much. And then after that, I got a job over at Pocolola Social Club. It hadn't opened yet. It was with Sage Hospitality, and it was like my first corporate job other than Blockbuster when I was in high school. But I don't
Shout
count
out.
that. Shout out to
Rest in peace.
Blockbusters. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a yeah. Anyway,
Take
I
your Game Shark codes. Go to
oh my god,
go to Blockbuster. See what we can play. Sure.
John, we'll talk about anything. This is great. So we were started at Poca as a bartender, and there was like this incredible energy behind this bar, and it was designed by Brandon Wise, who is, who I didn't know much at the time, but he like had this really specific vision. And I was definitely apprehensive because it was like, oh, a a larger company in a hotel. Like, I was very apprehensive about it, but like the program really seemed cool. The production value, or like the money that they put into the space was like evident. And then the bar was just like really well designed. And later to find out Brandon was a huge part of that. And like the the scope to which it was, and like my time there, like I bartended for about 6 months until I got promoted to lead and eventually bar manager. And like I have forever this like incredible warm feeling for hotel bars. And like of working within like this corporate structure like seems really restrictive, and it is, like, in certain ways.
It is.
But but if you play, like, I remember when I took over the program and I designed my first menu, and I was like so proud of it. I got everyone to work on it, including Travis Gale, who got hired. This is, I want to say, shout out Travis again. One of the most baller moves I've ever known. This guy's been bartending in St. Augustine for a couple years, moves to Denver, gets hired as a bartender for a cocktail bar downtown Denver, like 1 block away from Coors Field. Had not yet turned 21.
Oh,
He was
that's
not
so
yet
true.
21. He was not yet 21. He got
The
hired.
mustache is deceiving.
It's, I mean, it. This is pre. I think this is pre mustache. I think this is pre mustache. Maybe at the time, but I mean, talk about the absolute charisma that this guy has, that he gets hired and turns 21 before his first shift
That's
at
good.
Boca. But I got to give it up to him. So we worked on this menu, and I was so proud of it. And like I think it like really matches the vibe of the space, and like really shows off the talents of the team. And then I've been working with Brandon. He was there for the beginning and definitely guiding me through these things. And we rolled out the menu for 1 month, and then I get an email saying, "Hey man, this is great. Love this menu. Coming out like 20% costs. Let's get that down to 16." And I was like, "Oh no, these people don't understand. They don't understand. 16% cost. What is this? A Chili's?" Like, I had this like moment where I was like, so frustrated because I had to like go 4 points down on a cocktail menu.
Mm-hmm.
And I got over it. I sat down. I like called some people to get some better deals on some things. I changed some of the recipes, and I got it down to 16%. And like, then they let me do whatever I wanted to.
Yep.
Then they were like, I was like, "Oh, let's do this." And they're like, "Yeah, go for it." And like showing me the value of like how to take the limitations
Mm-hmm.
and like put your whole ass into that and show people what you can do with this. Like, I mean, I can bring it back to like that ties to like cocktails. Like, if you put chartreuse in a drink, is it going to taste good? Probably,
Probably.
like
Chances are
probably.
greater than zero. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, this has chartreuse in it. Okay. But like, show me what you can do with a lemon. Like,
yeah.
really, like show me what like a lemon can like bring to the fucking table. and
Yeah.
and like
You have
that.
to you have to really learn the rules before you can truly break them. Like, you can be as creative as you want, 100%. Like, trust me, I love creativity. That's why we do all the fun things. We play D&D, we do all these cocktails. But once you learn the rules and you truly know them, you know how to break them and have a good time while doing it. That's the trick.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so much from that experience really uh opened the door for like this being a career for me, because not only did I kind of, fit the program to meet the needs of the business, which is like really important, That
How you stay in
also
business.
yeah, it's how you make money, like,
Crazy.
oh yeah, and it's wild. If the cocktails don't make money, you don't have cocktails anymore. Pretty wild. And, like, that was, like, the time where, it went from, like, my love of being around people to, like, seeing a vision of, like, how this could be a career. And it was I mean, when I started at Poca, they, got us all Bar Smart certified, and, like, they encouraged me to go to Portland Cocktail Week, which is, like that in itself was, like, this resources like this, like, going to Portland Cocktail Week and, like, being around other bartenders who were at the point in their career that they made it there, They, like and the barrier of entry is be a bartender, and you can go to Portland Cocktail Week, which is, like, a
That's it.
low fucking bar.
Doesn't matter where you work. Can you
Absolutely not.
can you put liquids in cups? Do you
Yes.
get paid
Make
to put
money,
liquids in cups?
then come to Portland and hang out
Go
for
to
a week.
Portland Cocktail Week.
Yeah.
Apply.
It's like it's so like being in that place and experiencing the like nature that the nature of the industry that is like resource there's a ton of resources there. Like I felt that like this was a demarcation line. Like all these like little things kind of built up to like this point where I'm like I'm actually a beverage professional at this point. Like,
Mhm.
and like it sounds kind of lame to be like, "Oh, I sat down and I took a couple of classes," you know, but then like I did take a class on implicit bias, which is wild with
Most people don't learn that till grad school.
yeah.
I gotta be real honest with you.
And, like, I went I know, which is wild, like and I didn't go to grad school. Instead, I went to Portland, and, Jackie Summers, and, who was it? It was, I think, Jennifer. I can't remember her last name, but she owns Small Hand Foods. And, like, my first year going to Portland Cocktail Week, the class that had the biggest impact on me was implicit bias when it comes to hiring, for your bar team. And, like, understanding that this isn't just a place where you go and learn about drinks. This is a place that you go and learn about the industry, and these are the people who are the experts, who have the resources, who have the experience, who are saying, hey, like you can do whatever you want, sure, fine, but like this is proven to increase the value of the product that you're producing. And like it to walk away from that experience, like being like, oh man, I really need to think about my messaging when I'm talking about job postings. When I'm like, how am I reaching the messaging of like the kind of candidates that we want, and like how is
Mhm.
that inclusive? How is that getting the opening the door and lowering the barrier for this thing that I love so much, that someone who might not even be in the service industry might have the same passion for it as I do, but whatever reason, the messaging or the barriers or the
Mhm.
previous convention of like, well, we only hire people that we know because that's the people that we talk to the most. Like it was pretty eye opening. So, man, what were we talking about? We're talking about my journey.
Yeah. So how did you get
To
I'm gonna pull
Chapnick.
us back in because we're just telling awesome stories at this point, which I think is really great. That's the whole reason we do this podcast is
I told you this would
to hang
happen.
out with cool people and do cool shit with cool people. But you do have a business called Convenient Cocktail Co. So how did you get from working in bars and restaurants to supplying bars and restaurants? What
Oh,
was the jump? What was the moment?
it was Dungeons and Dragons that actually did this, which is wild to say that, but it is
That's so
true.
exciting because I
So,
share a similar story.
so it was 2018. It was my height, or I was still a bar manager at Poca. I was having a wonderful time, and I was doing the most I ever did, and it was in 2018, including I think I think I watched like Stranger Things, and that was like the first time I saw Dungeons and Dragons like portrayed on screen, which is wild, right? Like I was however old I was
I
to
don't know if there's much
me.
before that outside of like early Critical Role and maybe some of the
Right. I mean, like, it just wasn't
Geeks and Sundry, but like
Geeks
that's
and
not
Sundry stuff.
popular. That's not popular
I didn't
television.
know. Yeah, I didn't know what they were, but that was like the first time I saw like in a very popular, atmosphere. And then I heard about the Adventure Zone, and I absolutely love that. And I was like, I need to play D&D. The only way I'm going to do it is that I got the player's handbook and I read through it, and it says, hey, don't worry about finding the DM because the one of you will be the DM. Whoever is like the most willing to do it will do it. And knowing that I didn't have anyone to play with, I was like, well, I'm going to have to do this. So I knew that I was going to DM, and I didn't know exactly how to get my friends to do this, but a friend of mine, Addison Conway, um, she posted on a Denver local beer community meme shit posting page about
Craigslist. No, I'm just kidding.
memoirs of a geisha. I think I don't
Yeah,
know if you know it. You
I
know the
lived it.
You actually know it, yeah. She posted on Memoirs, and it was like, some dumb D&D thing, and I was like, "Hey, nerds, I wanna play D&D. Do you wanna come play D&D with me?" And, my friend Addison, posted back she would, and she brought 2 of her friends, and one of those ended up being my wife. I didn't know it at the time,
That's incredible.
but, they came to my house. Well, I was, living with, my best friend, Dustin. Shout out Dustin, he's great. He, was part of the adventuring party, and, Caitlin came to a stranger's house to play D&D at 10 o'clock in the morning for Dungeons and Bruncheons. And
Great.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing bad about anything you've said. This is amazing.
I had a full charcuterie spread and Aperol spritzes, and she later told me it was the fanciest drink she'd ever had, and I believe it, which is strange. She was like, "Yeah, the fanciest drink I've ever had before has been a salty dog. Do you know that one?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah.
I've had one.
Yeah, I have had some." Um, and I definitely attribute my building up rapport with this beautiful young lady by feeding her fancy cheeses and tasty cocktails. So
I love
your
that.
dreams can come true. It might take 15 years in the service industry, but you might just serve someone the right amount of cheese and Aperol spritzes. But that was the first. I ran Lost Mines of Fandelver, and it was such a fun experience.
Did
And
you finish it?
yes, yes, we finished it.
Incredible.
We
That's a
finished it.
lifetime achievement.
We
Achievement
finished it.
unlocked, trophy, whatever it is. You got it.
Yes, we actually did, and I remember it was literally like I was already living with her at the time that we finished it. We were outside, and we took some beautiful photos, and it was a very special time. So that's how I met Caitlin. She was just a girl that my friend brought over, and I was absolutely smitten with her. She and we'd been friends for about 3 months. We've been playing, and then her brother, who is now our roommate here he was our roommate then too, in Chattanooga. But he bought Caitlin tickets to go see the McElroys, who are the hosts of the Adventure Zone.
Mhm.
They were doing My Brother and My Brother Meet, a different podcast, which I'm now a fan of, but at the time I hadn't seen it. And she bought him tickets for her birthday also. So they had both bought each other 2 tickets to go see the McElroys. And she told me like, "Oh, hey, Devin, you want to come to the My Brother and My Brother and Me show, the live show? Maybe we'll find you a girl that likes the McElroy brothers." And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, "Oh man, this seems like a date."
Yeah.
She had no idea it was a date, but it was. It actually ended up turning out to be a date. So yeah, it was a very special time. And then 2020 hit. Holy crap!
Yep.
I got furloughed. She was worked all the way through it. She was working at a senior rehabilitation center. So she didn't get a break, but I did.
No. She doubled down.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure.
was, yeah, super hard. And I think that I experienced a lot of things that many people in the industry did. Was like, is this it, like, how am I going to make this work? Is this actually gonna be the thing? And by the end, like, going back, which was just depressing, like
Yeah.
the big screens and the people yelling at you for wearing a mask, and then people wearing a mask, and me wearing a mask and like hating it but still doing it, right? Like,
Mhm.
it was just like such a bummer time. But
Sure was.
then, like, we had some money saved up, and we were like, the one good thing is that it really refocused everyone's priorities. So people were taking risks that they weren't normally doing. They were saying yes to big changes because, like, when the chips are on the table, and like we had this, absolutely globally impactful event happen, people were like, okay, we need to realign. Denver was this beautiful place. We loved it. We couldn't afford to live there. We couldn't afford to have a house. Like, we were living in a house that was literally built in 1896. It had one bathroom. Like,
I'm sure rent was still $3,500 a month.
uh
It wasn't that bad, but
Caitlin actually owned it, but like, she it was still not like, it wasn't a good house, and it
yeah.
definitely didn't have room for a family. So we also wanted to be close to her family because they live about an hour away in uh Rainsville, Alabama. And so we went down there to Alabama to spend Christmas with them after a year after we started dating. I guess this is pre-pandemic. And then, like, we went to Chattanooga, cool town. Didn't we spend like a literally night in it? And then after the
Okay,
pandemic,
but you visited it before you
visited more.
eventually moved.
Yeah, I did.
That's progress. We
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah, I know. Wow. Yeah, I'm really taking things slow, but I told her family that I was going to propose to her. I actually We started a game of D&D that Christmas that I was DMing, and proposed to her during a session on March 1st, 2020. And I had like this Da Vinci Code, like, word codex thing, and I had like put like a password on it, like the Da Vinci Code thing that looks
Yeah,
like
of
a cube.
course. Yeah,
Anyway,
is it a cryptex? Some fan out there is gonna light me up. I can't remember what the actual name is, but I know
the
what you're.
crypt box. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the dick puzzle, it's like anyway. So we were playing this game. They were in this mirror room fighting mirror images of themselves, and she found this puzzle. Her character found this puzzle, and only she could read it because she was, whatever race that only knew this particular language. Though knowing a language in D&D is not very impressive. Everyone knows a thousand languages.
Hundreds of
Any,
races. It's
yeah,
basically the entire world is Europe.
exactly. Yeah, it is exactly, which is so fantasy to us.
Well, we are Americans.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
So she figures out what the puzzle is. It's mirror spelled backwards, and I do the proposal, and it's this very special moment. And then 12 days later, everything shuts down, and
Yo.
that's like when we decide, all right, we're gonna move to Chattanooga. We're gonna open up this bar concept that, like, it started off as a seed, and now it's like this like kind of fleshed out idea. And we're gonna go there, we're gonna lay some roots, and that's how I landed in Chattanooga. And I was working, I helped open like this urban country club place called Common House, which is very really cool, unique, like, concept. And big spaces. God, it was 4 floors. It was a nightmare. It had 4 different bars in it. It was
How many bartenders on staff?
not enough.
Yeah, well,
And
I
yet
was hoping
somehow
that
it's fun.
wasn't the answer, but
No, I was a glorified bar back that had to walk up and down 4 flights of stairs, 6 days a week. But that was like, I left that job, and I really fleshed out this concept for this bar that we want to open. And that this entrepreneurial spirit definitely has been in me for a while. But then I was working at No Hard Feelings when I met Josh, and it's really funny because I had a mutual friend with Josh who said, "Hey man, there's this guy who just moved to town. He's got this sick home bar. You have a sick home bar. You guys should meet." He's like, "Here's his number," and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna talk to this guy."
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't.
I
This seems fishy.
and no thanks. He's like, he's a bartender. He's got a cool thing. He just moved from Austin. I'm like, nah, it's all right. We end up working together, and we end up being neighbors, like literally down the street neighbors. And that was really funny. We got hired right before Miracle started in
Oh, it's a nice
2022.
calm time to
Oh
join the
yeah,
staff.
let me tell you something. You learn. There's so much you learn about yourself and others when you work in a place like a Miracle Bar.
It's so true. You learn so
Battlefield
much.
triage. Yeah,
It's literally a triage center
yeah,
for drinks and holiday debauchery. That's
yeah. So we became close friends, and kind of during the madness of Miracle, he was like, "Hey, dehydrated garnishes. Like, have you thought about starting a business?" He was here to open a bar, like I said before, and he was a lot farther away, farther along the process, being that he had actual money backers, and like he's had partners, and like he's been at this for years. And I was like, nah, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
you're saying
yeah,
no to this guy a lot. You don't want to hang out at his house. You don't want to do business with him.
I'm just listen. I guess in my old age I've just become a little bit more skeptical. But that's not true, because it's just like, what the thing is? I've learned how to say no and then over deliver. It's like maybe this sick thing that I'm like, no thanks, and then come back with like a 4-page proposal. It's like, yeah, this is my no.
I
It's
get
just
that.
I'm really insecure, so I don't want to look too enthusiastic because I do that very easily.
I'm gonna sit on it for 2 weeks. I'm gonna plan. It's gonna be the best thing you've ever seen. But I was working on it the whole time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Boy, the mind is strange. And yeah, and like I was just thinking about what convenient cocktail. So I came up with a name. I was like, Age of Convenience, like kind of very uh non-specific mid-century tropical vibe that like evokes a little bit of the Age of Convenience, when in the mid-century, when tiki was at its like height. It was definitely this like atomic age stuff.
Yeah, sure. Full circle back to my guy whenever you used to visit.
Yes, of course. The bar that I want to open is immersive tropical focused experience, but also not in its own way. And anyway, so like uh then like we got the sketch. He took the sketch to his friend. They came up with the logo, and we were like, man, this looks like it. This could be it. And at the time, Caitlin was pregnant, and like, she was working from home, and I had being a bartender and taking care of a baby is tough. I did it. It was very tough. And I was thinking like, man, this could be the thing that transitions us from, this grind of working for people into something that could be like bigger than just a four walls in a city. Like this could be, something that is experienced by others in different places, and really like, I mean, I'm gonna take a couple steps back. Like convenient cocktail makes dehydrated garnishes. I didn't even talk about this yet. Why is
I'm letting you go. I'm letting you
yeah, I
go.
know. Why are dehydrated garnishes good? Well, I mean, number one, and I've seen some people on the internet who are like, well, cocktails don't need garnishes. And I'm like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. Yes, they need garnishes. Some cocktails, like, some shaken cocktails that have like a nice foam, that is, whatever the garnish. But
It
like,
is a garnish.
why do we drink cocktails, John? This is a question I'm asking you.
We're alcoholics. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
that's not it. There's so much easier ways to be drunk all the time if
Yeah,
you're
it's true.
alcoholics.
It's
So
actually true.
so why cocktails? Like, why are cocktails so good? Right?
Man, this is good. This is
this
deep. I
is
like this.
no, but this is true, and it's fucking drives me crazy when someone says that garnishes are a waste. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we are we are everything that we do in hospitality could be written off as a waste, but it is a celebration. It is an experience that didn't exist before. You are connecting with a person who's making something right in front of you that's for you. And like, it has to look as good as it tastes, because you're not going to have this thing again. It's like, it is a celebration, and it's a moment, and it's literally everything that we do in one small experience. So to say that garnishes are not important or are a waste is just really grinds my gears, Buster. And yeah, anyway, so the hydrated garnishes are great because they lower the barriers for beautiful cocktails in more places, right? Like, bars
Absolutely.
have been using them. I use them for a long time, and I understand the value of them, because when you're cranking out, 500 covers in a single night at Polka, which was an insanely busy bar. Like,
Yeah.
it was so busy, and 80%, 78% of our sales were cocktails. It
Mhm.
wasn't, we had like 4 beers, we had 3 wine. Like, it was so much of what we did were the cocktails that we made. So like, we had to rely on fast and beautiful, because if it isn't
And
beautiful,
replicable,
yes,
right? Everybody can do it. Every cocktail looks the same. There's no inconsistencies. That's really important when you're designing a high volume cocktail menu.
absolutely. And even on slower cocktail bars, consistency is just as important.
Yeah.
And the thing about convenient cocktail is, like, we understand that value. We're coming in at a price point that is like less than do you know what the tipped minimum hourly wage in Denver is right now? The minimum
Ooh,
amount you can pay for a dinner,
are we up to 15 yet?
$15 an hour.
It's incredible. Compared
Yeah.
to Georgia that you mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Georgia and Tennessee, I think tipped
I
is
mean, I started
220.
bartending in Pennsylvania and it was like 283 an hour. Like that,
Yeah,
that was
it's
savage.
absolutely bananas. And
To your
listen,
point, 15 an
the
hour plus tips.
15 hours. I want those bartenders to make more than $15 an hour. I want the operations to not suffer, because people deserve to have, a living hourly wage.
Yeah.
The value that convenient cocktail brings is consistency on price, consistency on the use of it, and the visual aspect of it. So if you know exactly out the gate that one of these pieces costs 15 or 16 cents per piece, exactly how much is going into your cocktail cost.
Yep.
And like, if you're talking about an hour of work for one bartender to produce X amount of like garnishes, like, I don't
That was
know.
my next point that I was
Let me
going to
tell you
bring up.
something.
So that's
I
great.
I I I've had bartenders make garnishes for me before.
Yeah.
I've had to throw so many away.
I
And
mean,
like, I love
I've worked prep shifts where I work an 8-hour shift where all I do is prep garnishes and syrups and batches and infusions, and doing that for 8 hours. It's a full kitchen shift, but you're making minimum tipped wage and you're taking money from the bartenders that are also bartending, which is an important thing. You should always take care of the people that take care of you, because you couldn't make those drinks without the people spending the time to make
of
the
course,
garnishes. Very important.
absolutely. But the
But as a
value prop
business, that's hours. That's a lot of money that's spent 7 days a week having somebody come in and make all of those ingredients.
Yeah, and you should still make ingredients. Like, we don't want, you we if someone out there is buying simple syrup from a bottle and they don't have like a very good reason, like, you know,
Please stop.
value please stop me. I'll write a recipe down for you. It's simple.
Yeah. Oh God, is it
Yeah,
sticky?
okay.
Is it syrup too?
Yeah.
God, you are
So
dad. That was good. Not even as good as my burger flight joke at Lynn Burgers,
I
but
oh yes.
it's up there.
Yeah, we're all feeling the spirit of St. Louis tonight. So yeah, it is the value proposition. It is
Mhm.
the hours that your employees are spending and the value that they are generating. And like, I love Jeff, but Jeff forgot to turn on the dehydrator last night, and I had to throw away, at least $12 worth of limes, and it's just like,
Yeah.
why do that?
Or you know what else happens? You have one person, and that is the only person that knows how to prep. And they quit. They have a family emergency. Something happens to them. They have to leave. They find another job with pay. Now, guess what? No one in the building knows how to make garnishes like Jeff. Like that's kind of the way it goes.
Shout
Like the
out,
limes aren't cut the
honestly,
same. Like it's
it,
crazy.
I don't want to take credit for Jeff, but I did tell him how to cut those garnishes. And wherever you are out there, Jeff, I know that you're doing great. I want you to keep it up. You deserve more money than you're making right now. But I don't want to take too much credit because you're a hard worker, Jeff. I miss you. Um, but yeah, no, it really is like it is this value proposition, and like there are a ton of competitors. They're not a ton, but there's like a handful of competitors out there that I think that are not targeting the same like clients that we are, and like we're very much focused on bars and restaurants and like the bar people, because that's who Josh and I are.
Yeah.
And that, like, if we can make it work there, then we can make it work in retail, which is this giant thing that I don't really know much about. So yeah, we started this thing literally in my garage, just the worst setup possible. And the it just kind of took off. We just started schlepping around town, calling our friends out of state, and we grew the business, and slowly and surely, like, we moved into a production facility, and then got picked up by a distributor, and then another distributor, and now we're out in Colorado. Actually, it's so funny. So I was how many tangents we're going to take? I hope 1,000.
Well,
So
we're taking so many tangents that this is probably getting to the end of our topics, which is
oh
incredible.
no.
It just means we have to have you back to talk about more amazing stuff, which
Oh
is so
man.
cool.
But I was going to say that we landed in Colorado with Maverick Beverage, and I was actually calling up my friend Travis to ask him if he knew anything about Maverick. Turns out he worked for them.
Yeah, he's the spirit specialist
Yeah,
for Maverick.
I didn't know, and I was like, hey man, yeah, some people tell me that like Maverick was like this cool medium-sized wine distributor, like really focused on cool products, and like I was wondering if you knew about them. He's like, yeah, Devin, I work for them. So
I love how small our hospitality world is. It's incredible.
Yeah, sorry man. So God, I don't want to try to wrap this up. We're now distributed in 6 states, and that's wild. I have a crew of 4 incredibly unique, talented people that are with me day in, day out, and I love them to death. Like, I'm so excited to create a job that is like bringing value in unique ways, and like I got all these like visions of like what a job could be, and like I'm really excited to really try to own this thing. And recently, the biggest thing is recently my wife, who is our only source of income, she recently was like 3 weeks ago let go of her job. So she was the only source of our income. And we're actually in right now the most intense inflection point, because I was like, holy shit, I need so much help right now. My business partner, Josh, who's been, with me day one, his bar that he came to open is actually opening in 2 weeks.
It's a
2,
lot.
maybe 3. If I mean, in 2 weeks from now, everything will be done, save for like, and he holds up from the city, so like that's Mean Jeans. That's coming to the south side of Chattanooga. It is like, so all these things are happening like all at once. He's busy doing that. I'm also consulting on a small bar project that is going to open up around the same time as Mean Jeans, because why not,
Why not? Throw another rod in the fire. That's what we're here
yeah, why
for.
not?
That's what we do.
That's been a very cool experience too. It's called Spice Trail, so if you're in Chattanooga, check out those places too. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Like, so Caitlin got let go of her job, and I need help right now. So I was like, hey, honey, would you want to work for me? And she was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's whole ass
just
this.
run for it.
So she is now like our director of business operations. So she's like doing a lot of the
Smart. She sounds
government.
like she can multitask. She did all these other, like,
Oh
that's
my god,
so incredible.
yes, she's incredibly smart. She's incredibly organized. So like the fact that she's now coming to work with me every day, like me and my wife go to work every day. We have Finn, most like 4 days out of the week, he's there with us. We're spending time with him. We're not making a ton of money, but we're spending time together, and that shit you don't get back.
You
And
never
like
get that back.
really, even in like the insanity of like as a small business owner, you walk in and anything can happen. It's just like being in a bar shift, but like way, way different in other ways. But like there's this level of uncertainty and chaos that I, love to be in. And even in this like chaotic time, like the fact that we three get to go to work together to have fun and be in this place and grow this thing is like a truly incredible gift. And I'm trying my hardest not to squander it.
Well, I
So
think it's incredible, and I think I love what you're doing. I think this plays in line. There's been this conversation that's been going around the industry now that like we're moving back to this age of convenience, like the convenient like cocktail company, just like you have, right? We had the 70s and 80s where we had really bad products. We had horrible sour mix that was a powder, right? We had all this like just straight trash. No offense to them, but it was trash. But now we have these amazing, incredible people that are educated, that love the industry, that actually understand it, like you, that are bringing these modernized techniques to make our lives better. It's so incredible to see people like you do this for us because, like you said, I don't have the time. I'm a beverage director and I don't have time to, to do everything every single day. So I think what you're doing is incredible. And I love that you're doing it with your family. That's so
thanks, man.
powerful.
It feels very special. I mean, it feels scary. Like it's scary, but it's also fun.
Yeah, but scary's good, right? That's
Yeah,
growth. Like that's
yeah,
learning. That's like
yeah.
scary pushes you to the next level of change. So that's a
Absolutely,
positive.
absolutely. I'm just repeating that to myself when I'm like, oh man, my 30-day terms turning into 60-day terms, and I'm
Yeah, get
like,
the expo marker, write it on the mirror in the morning. So every day you get out, you repeat it back to yourself after
yeah,
you
no, no,
shower.
I'm supposed to feel this way. Yeah, this is part of the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Have we really been recording an hour? That
Yep,
is
sure have.
wild. Oops.
Which is great. Those of you that don't know, we had like 4 other topics we wanted to talk about
Oops.
tonight. which is great. It truly does mean that we're gonna have to have you back on the show, Devin.
I would
Which
love
is
to.
really
I
cool.
get to chat. I mean, obviously, birthday bros.
It's true.
Yeah, share a lot of similar life trajectories, and I'd love to explore that. So,
Absolutely. Oh god, it's so great. But we do like to ask all of our guests at the end of every episode, uh, what is or was your favorite shift?
oh man, that's such a good question, and
Very ambiguous as well. It's very
yeah,
wide open.
my favorite shift. I think the most memorable shift I had was we had open poke and we're about maybe 6 months into it, maybe 5 or 6 months into it. It's pretty early on. And the production crew for Top Chef were staying at the hotel for a month because they're setting up the studio and stuff. But the
Sure.
last 2 weeks is when they did the filming. And I remember that we were, I already knew the production crew for a month because they'd been there, living there for, for that
Yeah, they
time.
come and get a coffee from you in the morning. Like they see you
Yeah,
like
just
all
yeah.
day.
I honestly, I during that time, I mean, during my time in Boca, I was there quite a bit, so I definitely see people in all day long. Anyway, the uh, crew I'm sorry, the actors and the hosts, that's the word. They came in the first night of shooting or whatever. And I remember man, what's the guy's name? Tom. He was there
Whatever you
ordering
tell me, I believe
sure.
it. I haven't seen it.
Um and he was there having like mezcal margaritas and man, I'm struggling right now because the name was in my brain and now it's not, and I feel like oh, okay, here we go. So so Tom was there having some mezcal margaritas, skinny mezcal margaritas. I just remember this so well. And we're like nervous because like, oh, like these people are gonna maybe talk about us. They never did, and that's fine. They weren't supposed to,
You
right? They're
didn't
there
get
to do their
credit. You
job.
didn't get a credit line in the production.
Oh, well, you'll see. And then Padma Lakshmi, who is one of the hosts, she's everyone was hanging out. Then she came down, and like I never really watched the show much, but I was a huge like Food Network person
Sure.
when I was a kid.
Old school Iron Chef, like the old school like Japanese Iron Chef, like
Oh my god. Yeah,
the best.
Morimoto, Emerald, like that like group. When I
Incredible.
was a child, I would be awake at 2 a.m. watching Emerald Lagasse at like 10 years
Our
old.
lives are too parallel.
Really?
My mother would drag me to bed because I was watching cooking shows late at
This
night.
is
She's like,
so
"Why are you awake?" And I'm like, "Sorry, it's really
that's
interesting."
John, that's so funny. So Padma Lakshmi
Mm.
comes down, and she's just gorgeous looking, and she walks up to the bar, and she's about like, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 feet tall. She's very imposing in this like majestical way, and she's got like this paper plate full of just like greasy food, and she like looks over to me and she said, "Can you make me something with tequila?" And I was like, uh yeah. And
Yeah, I've done that once.
oh yeah, tequila,
I know what
yeah,
tequila
sure.
is.
And I made a riff on a South Side, and I did tequila South Side, and she loved it, and she ordered like the 2 weeks that there, she kept on ordering this tequila South Sides that I made, and I ended up putting on the menu when I took over, and it was like our #1 selling drink, and like I felt so like, I don't know. It's one of those things like someone hands you like a microphone. It's like, oh, start freestyle rapping, and like, and then somewhere deep down inside, you had a freestyle rap just waiting to come out, right? Like, and that definitely stuck with me, and still to this day, like, make me something with tequila, and I was like, yeah, yes, you got it right away, and I nailed it, and I felt like I nailed it, and it was a cool feeling. So I definitely remember that, probably up there with the shifts that I've ever had.
God, I love that. Like we asked this question because like we all have these like common threads that like bind us all together. It's why we're in this industry together. But like one of the most common themes is adversity and how we kind of all find a way to get through it. And whether that's somebody walking up to you and saying, "Make me a drink with tequila," or anything else, you found your way through that and created this amazing experience, this amazing cocktail. And like that's really cool. So love
Yes,
that.
man, I want to talk about these topics that
I know. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to
no,
have you
I know,
back.
it's okay.
Plus, it's also 10 o'clock at least my time.
Yeah, we're on the same time.
So
Yeah,
we'll just have to come back and talk
I
again
know,
soon.
man. Well, thank you so much, John. This has been an absolute delight. Yeah, I gotta talk to you about Emerald too.
It's true.
Shit's
Okay, we'll
popping
save that
off.
for after. Now, I know we have some shout outs because we've given so many shout outs throughout the entire show. I know that you have some other shout outs that you want to give to some homies, put some fuel in the tank, gas them
Yeah.
up. Let's hear about it. But first, I want to hear about you. Where can they find you guys on social
Yes.
media?
So you can find me at devin.drinks, DEVIN.drinks, and my company, Convenient Cocktail Co. Or Convenient Cocktails Co. Co. And just also convenientcocktail.com. You can buy some garnishes, take it home with you. Talk to your dad about it. Show him how easy it is to make a drink and put a garnish in it, make it beautiful. It's wonderful. Oh, hold on.
Oh, here we go. We got some samples. Here we
Yeah.
go.
I
He was
know.
ready. I love it.
So this is our bags. I tried to I wanted to get some samples out to you as soon as possible, but this was a late a late game thing. So hopefully
We
by
do
the
that
next time.
sometimes. It's like a
Yeah,
game of D&D and a bartending shift. We throw them together.
I know, it's great.
If you're
So
just listening to the podcast, though, make sure you check out the YouTube channel. You can check out the garnishes. He's got some beautiful dehydrated oranges, blood oranges, regular oranges. What do we got there?
grapefruit,
Grapefruit. Well, I'm
Yeah.
colorblind, but they do
Yeah,
look
so
fantastic.
thank
I
you.
love them.
Yeah, so come check us out. Like we're really growing steadily, and I love that we are able to lower barriers for beautiful cocktails in more places. Beautiful cocktails easier is our tagline. Caitlin came
God,
up
I
with
love
it.
that. That's so
Um,
good. That's so good.
Anyway, so the next thing is huge shout out to Josh Mongovan and Gina Mongovan, who are my most precious friends, business partners, and who are opening a bar called Mean Jeans, which is lovingly named after Gina's nickname. Who sometimes, like, if you're at a bar, she's also a bartender, and just like she's not gonna put up your shit, you know,
Yeah, so you
like
got grumpy
just stop.
bartender face,
Yeah, but like, you know,
resting
come on,
bartender face.
you can do better, and you should, and that's why you come down to Mean Jeans, because
Oh, I love
she's not
that.
going to put your shit with your shit, and it's they're incredibly hardworking. They make you feel at home, and they're talented. And Mean Jeans is going to be literally one of the coolest bars in Chattanooga. So like, I can't wait. Hopefully, in the next, you know, 2 weeks to a month, they'll be rocking and rolling. And so please come out.
I love
Um,
that.
Also, the incubator, which is the a incubator space where Convenient Cocktails located, is in the North Shore of Chattanooga. I really wanted to talk more about this, but we don't have the time. We'll chat about it later. It is a incubator space which small business owners are like have subsidized rent, and because of
Oh,
that, they
cool.
are allowed to. No, it is incredible. It's managed by the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce. Really impactful, small business focused individuals who are like literally investing in the future of this city and in people like me, which is like,
Is there a podcast studio, and how soon can I create one and rent it out? Because I'm on my way.
there. Let me tell you something. There isn't one, and they want one. Like they literally would
I'm
like.
in.
Yeah, seriously. No,
Pack it up. Tell my
real
wife,
thing.
Jess, pack it up. We're moving.
Yo, it's cheap here. We'll talk about it later.
So it's got to be cheaper than Denver. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the incubator, the Small Business Development Center is part of that too. They work in tandem. And you know, the reason why Convenient Cocktail exists is because the resources that were available to us gave me the confidence to say, yes, I can do this. There's people out there that can help me, and if I fuck it up, they're gonna be like, hey man, next time you should do this, you know, instead of just like wailing in my self-pity, which I do less because my wife won't allow me to do that. So
True partnership.
yes, she's great.
I know you have one last shout out to, which I
Yes.
need to hear all about this one.
Okay. The Flaming Rooster is the best restaurant in Chattanooga, and here's why. It is a family-owned restaurant. It is the best chicken in Chattanooga. It is like Nashville hot style chicken that you can get a beer and Kool-Aid and key lime cake and the literal best chicken in town, and it is spicy. It is exactly what I want. And they serve wings. They're a real wing. They're not separated. They're a double wing,
Oh,
and
good. An actual chicken wing.
it is an actual chicken wing, and it's incredible. Like collard greens, mac and cheese. Like it is the best thing in town. And I just want to say, like every time I'm there, it's just exactly what I want, and it feels like being in someone's kitchen. And I can't describe that feeling elsewhere. It's just like you sit down, everything's so just like it's not like it's not trying to be anything that isn't. And I can have incredibly spicy chicken with like a tropical Kool-Aid and a side Modelo with a lime. Like to me, where do you get that? You know, unless you're at
Well,
someone's
you
house.
get it at the Flaming
At the
Rooster.
Flaming Rooster.
That's
So
the
big
only
shout out
place
to
you can
them.
get it.
Get the hot. It is so spicy, and if you are brave enough, you should get the all hell nah, which is like the spiciest. So I love it
Like
so
I said, I'm
much.
packing my bags. I'm on my way.
All right, John, I'm gonna hold you to at least one trip to Chattanooga, and I'm gonna show
Done.
you the time, man.
Sign me up. Uh, One shout out. Well, I got a couple shout outs. First one, another shout out to Travis. It's a thread that
Happy
connects
birthday.
everybody in the industry. Happy birthday again. Absolutely love it. Maybe you'll listen to an episode of the podcast that you helped birth.
Maybe.
Yeah,
his
maybe.
name's in this one, so
Yeah, we'll wait till ski season maybe, and then he'll actually listen to it on his drive up to the mountains. So that'll be a real thing. Next shout out to my favorite podcast. It's called Bard Tenders. You're probably listening to it right now. You can check us out on social media at Bard Tenders. You can head to our website at www.bardtender.com. We have amazing resources for mental and physical health and wellness, education resources, and we feature bards like Devin at Creative Cocktail Co., Conventional Cocktail Co., where he makes creative cocktail garnishes. You see, I had the plug. I got ahead of myself. Convenient Cocktail Co. with creative cocktail garnishes. Thank you. I had to say it again to boost my own confidence. You're welcome. You can use that.
No,
it's all yours.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. This has been great.
And if you want to reach out to us and be on the show, play D&D, roll dice, anything like that, hit us up at contact@bardtender.com or slide into those DMs on social media. It's a great way. That's how Devin reached out to us, and that's why I'm going to buy some of his garnishes. So it's pretty neat.
I'm going to send you some anyway, so it's all good.
We can do both. Support the homies.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely support the homies. Shout out to the homies, by the way.
All the homies. Devin, thank you for being on the show. That was absolutely phenomenal. What a great time. I guess we'll have to have you back soon. All right, it's that time. Let's clock out.
Bye, guys.